Hey, welcome to Mended Futures, where real stories remind us that broken doesn't mean the end. It's just the beginning of something new.
I'm Evan Bergener.
And I'm Liz Mahan. We're the new Season 2 hosts, and together our goal is to share powerful, true stories of resilience, redemption, and hope.
Each week, we'll walk with people through the valleys and celebrate the moments when light breaks through.
Because every future can be mended, one story at a time.
Welcome, everyone, to this episode of the Mended Futures podcast. Today, we have Mollie Cash with us, who is a caseworker with VA Cares right here in Lynchburg. And we're so excited to talk to her today.
Hey, Mollie, I'm so excited that you're here today just to learn a little bit more, one, about you, but then also what you do and what you're passionate about. So I'd love if you could introduce yourself to our listeners. Who are you? What do you do? What are some things that really bring you joy and that you're passionate about?
So as I said, I'm Mollie, and I'm the case manager at Virginia Cares at Lynchburg Community Action Group. There are 11 Virginia Cares locations throughout Virginia, and we are the state's solution to reentry. We help people that are coming home from jail and prison find jobs, housing, connect them with substance abuse services, medical services, help them get their benefits, create resumes, anything we can do to promote a successful life at home, to keep from going back and doing the same things.
Yeah. I love that. That's awesome.
What about a little bit more about you? Anything about your background?
I have been home since May 5th, 2022 from a Florida Department of Corrections facility. I was at Lowell Correctional. I was charged with attempted felony murder and possession of a firearm by a felon. I was facing life, but more like 36 years. And by the grace of God, who I did not believe in originally, I came home in 4.
Wow.
They got my charges dropped down to possession of a firearm by a felon. So a lot of prayer and a lot of money and a good lawyer, and God brought me home when I was not supposed to.
Wow. That's incredible. Wow. I think it's just a really beautiful thing that you're taking your story and then how can I help other people in using that, and how the Lord truly can use anything for good. But I think it's really beautiful when you see people who were in situations similar to the people that they're serving currently. So I think that's a really beautiful thing that you get to do. So our podcast is called the Mended Futures Podcast. So it's kind of focusing on like people who have faced hard past and grown into hope and wholeness. How do you see your own journey in that light of a mended future?
So it's kind of crazy because I didn't know that there was anything that needed to be mended. I came from brokenness. I was broken, had no idea I was broken. That it was my normal. My father's been incarcerated. And both of my parents were addicts, drug addicts. My mom's even been incarcerated. So the journey I didn't know I was taking. I thought that everything was normal in my life, that this is how people operated. This is, just how life is. That, you have a lot of criminals in your family and you have to be careful around certain family members and you have to do certain things and move certain ways. Yeah. So I didn't know that anything needed to be mended. And the craziest thing is I didn't know that I was broken and needed mending until I got to prison. And people told me that what I thought was normal was not. It was brought to my attention for the first time from people that I kind of understood and was familiar with and kind of trusted, that their opinion was probably true.
Yeah.
And so that was the journey, was that I didn't know I was on one.
Yeah.
It was kind of a shock to me too.
Wow. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. I want to dig a little bit more into that journey. A lot of times when we're going through those difficult parts of our life, the difficult seasons, there's people that come alongside us that help us get to that mended future. Is there a person that kind of stands out that has kind of walked alongside you on this journey?
So there's a lot of different people at different points in life.
Yeah.
I actually began getting locked up at 10.
Mhm.
I did 4.5 years as a juvenile too.
Mm.
So there's been a lot of people at different periods in my life. There's someone that her kindness to me and just kind of belief in me, it stuck with me throughout my life. Her name's Miss Killens, and she was the program director at the Pines program in Daytona Beach, Florida.
Mhm.
I got sent to a juvenile program at 18. And I was mad.
Mm.
And I swung on her and tried to hit her my very first day. And I didn't stop being that person, but she just kept caring. Most programs, I've been kicked out of other programs. I do too much and they're like, okay, next, you got to go. She never did. She didn't even kick me out of her building. And that stuck with me for so much of my life and it's kind of why I do what I do now, because if someone would have, cared throughout all of that journey, the first time I got out, the second, any of those times, like I probably wouldn't have, went as far as I did. Maybe I would have, but, I don't know because someone believing in me really changed things. She got me into Daytona Beach Community College while I was locked up.
Wow.
They used to transport me every day to the college in our program bus. And, that was huge. So that has stuck with me. That changed kind of a belief that there are decent people. So.
Truly. And I think the power of feeling seen too is so important, especially when you're going through really hard seasons. It's like that changes the trajectory, that changes everything because we're not meant to fight things alone. But then, especially when you have someone who sees the value in you, speaking into that, sees your worth, and says, like, you are worth it. You're worth, like, the longevity of this relationship. I think that's a really beautiful thing that you had her and other people, like, looking out for you in that way and fighting on your behalf. I think that's really, really cool. I love that. So switching into your role a little bit now, can you talk a little bit about like what your role is, what a typical day-to-day is? What does that kind of look like?
So technically I am the case manager, but we're also supposed to have a full-time employment specialist that we do not have. So I do all of the intake, case management, and all of the job readiness and employment services that I can't refer out.
That's a lot.
Wow.
So I do the resumes. I take you to job interviews, help you get, prepared for the interviews. I also will take you to therapy or to treatment or, from every side of it. I spend time with people just hearing, what they're struggling with. And although I'm not a therapist or a counselor or anything, I do understand. And I know that it helps to not be judged when you're talking about the things you're struggling with that other people think should be a given. Other people think that the right thing or, the acceptable thing is easy or comfortable for everyone and that it should be your first mind, and it's not.
No.
But you get judged when you tell people like, I'm really struggling not to crash out.
Yeah.
And so I just listen to them talk sometimes, get food. Some of them I help see their kids. I'll pick up their kids from daycare. We'll go and I'll let them go out to eat or something with their kids or, help them get them to and from their house. Because that's a big part. Like, we don't want more brokenness.
Yeah.
So if we can help you see your kids and fix things and be there, then we're going to do that too. It's almost nothing I wouldn't do that's going to help somebody succeed.
Yeah.
If it's, right and it's just and it's doable, I will do it.
I love that.
Right on.
Wow.
I love that from your experiences and things that have happened in your past, you're able to then take that, and God is now using that and your unique experience and perspective and talents for good, and to turn that into being that person, that Miss Killens for other people here in our local community. And it's incredible what you're doing.
Yeah,
and
that's a beautiful thing.
I love that. So thank you so much for what you're currently doing. This is an incredible story. to listen to.
And the power of vulnerability too. Like, shout out to you for being vulnerable, because I'm sure that's exhausting. Like, and
100%.
doing that. So that's honored here. And like, thank you for being vulnerable. I really appreciate that. I know, being in the nonprofit space, like, we're really passionate about hearing people's stories and hearing about how someone, or if they start with our nonprofit, of like where they started versus where they are now. Have you had a client or a story that has kind of stuck with you, that gives you purpose, that gives you like, wow, that was just really, really cool? Do you have any stories that you'd want to share?
Yeah, I have a bunch of them.
I'm sure. I'm sure.
But there are a few that they stand out.
Mm-hmm.
When I first started, there was a guy who was already enrolled in the program, and he came to all of our peer groups. And he was always in such a positive, but like sarcastic, like he's a funny guy.
Mm.
And he has a pretty bad offense
Mm-hmm.
in the eyes of the world.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really hard for him to find a job.
Mm-hmm.
And every day he would get on the bus in the summer, dressed in button-ups and slacks, and he would go look for a job every day with
Wow.
copies and copies and copies of his resume.
Mm.
And I tell him, like, hey, I'm going to take you to go look for a job today. And, I'll pick you up at like 11. Well, at 10:30, when I'm calling him to tell him I'm on the way, he's already been on the bus. And he's on the other side of town.
Wow.
And he's already applied to a bunch of places.
He is out
today.
there. Wow.
And he would interview well.
Yeah.
They'd want to hire him.
Yeah.
Then his background would come into play. And they tell him no. And all of the no's would have crushed me. I don't know that I could have been as resilient as he was.
Yeah.
And he never got negative about it. He never got angry. He even started a job. They had accepted the background. Everything was fine. And on his second or third day, I guess other employees found out about his background and they let him go because the other employees didn't want to work with him. And he still wasn't angry.
Wow.
He still kept a positive attitude and just kept applying to jobs.
Wow.
And that, I mean, it showed me like, okay, Mollie, get it together. Quit feeling sorry for yourself. If something doesn't happen, you just got to keep going. Like, how can he be so resilient and have so much positivity towards the world, basically, trying to shun him out and throw him away? And he just keeps showing up with a good attitude. It really made me change how I go through some of my days, even at this job. Because when I'm tired, I'm cranky too. And I don't want to do things.
Yeah.
But if he could get up and do it, so can I.
No, truly.
Mhm.
Truly. Wow. Yeah, that's some motivation right there for sure.
Also, he's working full time with benefits.
Wow.
Got recognized at work and things like that now. So yeah.
That's incredible. That's an incredible story of reconciliation too, because I feel like the world so much wants to look at like what we do or what we've done, but truly like the way the Lord loves us, but also I think like genuine friendships, genuine relationships looks at like who you are. So I think that's really beautiful too, and a nice like reminder, I think, for us and also listeners of, how are you seeing people? What are you viewing people as? And like, are you going deeper with people of like, who are you? Not just what have you done or like, what do you do? I think that's really powerful for sure.
I love that, in this role where you're in the mentor spot, a lot of the time, you're still learning from some of your clients like that. That's a really, really cool, inspirational story. Kind of makes me wonder if you are giving someone advice about overcoming challenges for people in these kinds of situations, what advice would you give them?
Don't stop before the miracle happens. And
that's good.
Because usually it's really, really, really bad right before it gets really good.
Yeah.
But man, like if you stop now, you will think that life cannot get any better than this. But if you just keep fighting, I mean, like, if you crawled out of a ditch that you're in, your nails will be bleeding. That is almost mentally what you need to feel. And once you hit that point where you are fighting for yourself and fighting and crawling and fighting your way out, you're going to come to the other side and you're going to know a life and, a you that you have never experienced before, but you have to keep going.
Yeah.
Just when you think like, I can't do it, I'm going to let go, I'm going to fall, I'm done. You have to keep going.
No, I love that. And I think that's really powerful that like you get to tell your clients that and like reminding them of that and them hearing that from you. What other things do you help like your clients and how like the people you serve see themselves like beyond labels, past mistakes or circumstances? Is there anything that you do to help them kind of see them like the worth in themselves?
Absolutely. I encourage them and I also remind them that I am a 3-time convicted felon as their case manager. So if I can be here, you can literally be anywhere. You can do anything. Like, don't see yourself as a felon. Don't see yourself as, having background things that are holding you back. Apply for the job. Apply for the apartment. And just keep doing it. Like, I just believe in them and I try to see the parts in them that they try to hide and that they try to water down. I let them say what they want to say, talk about what they want to talk about. And if I can, I'll help in any of the areas that I can, even if it's not, typical. And I do just see all of them. I don't see their backgrounds. In fact, I put it into a database system and in their file, and I never look at it again. It's not my concern. The only way that it comes into play is looking for jobs because some automatically disqualify you. And that's the only time it ever comes into play, but we can still apply.
Right.
Truly.
So for people that may be listening to this podcast, they're listening to your story and what you do, and they're feeling that pull on their heart. They've got a passion like you do for folks that have been incarcerated and are trying to come back into the society, find jobs. How can they come alongside you and support what you do?
So employment is always one of the biggest struggles when someone comes home. Even if they come home with an ID and their identifying documents, and they could be bonded through the Virginia bonding program, it's still really difficult because if you don't have housing or you don't have transportation, a lot of jobs will, disqualify you. And then there's a lot of companies that don't accept applications or employment from people with background issues. So if local businesses would like to become second chance employers, they should reach out to us at Lynchburg Community Action Group, Virginia Cares, and find out about the benefits to them and the community and the ways that they can protect their business if that is their concern through the free Virginia bonding program that offers an insurance policy for any business that hires someone with a felony conviction. I believe misdemeanors as well, too. Housing is always needed. We do have a great rental company in Lynchburg, Raven Realty, who I rent from. And there's not enough landlords. I was out $700 in application fees when I moved to Lynchburg trying to get a place just to keep getting denied. And I went to see a place and the owner was there. I did not think he was the owner, told him my story, and I've been renting from him for 3 years. But there is a huge shortage here. And affordable housing is even, worse. And then what is the condition of the housing? If they're willing to rent to someone that may not have a perfect background or, their credit's bad, because a lot of times when we're locked up, we're not building credit.
Right.
And for some people, I didn't open my first accounts. My oldest age of credit is 3 years and 8 months. So businesses and places to live that want to just give it a chance, not automatically disqualify someone for something that they did as a different person. Because who they are now is not who they were. And just, to throw this out there, there's only been, I think, 2 claims through the Virginia bonding program since they started the program, because most of us us as in, background issue people, we work harder. We show up when others don't. We stay longer. We try harder.
Yeah.
Because for me, it's like I had something to prove.
Yeah.
I had to show you that, and I also felt like I was already down. So I have to fight twice as hard in the workplace to be up. So, we do our thing.
Yeah.
We really work hard and we care.
Yeah.
And yeah.
No, that's incredible. That's incredible.
I had no idea about that program.
Yeah.
That's a really great incentive for employers. So
yeah. I'd love to know too. I was thinking that whole time while you were talking, just the amount of, and you touched on it earlier, just the amount of rejection that people who are like reintegrating into society face. What gives you hope in that? Like how also like do you care for yourself when you're continually seeing rejections from your clients or for you personally? Like what gives you hope and how are you caring for yourself like in that?
What gives me hope is that you just can't give up. I mean, that is the only thing. Like you're either going to keep going or you're going to succumb to what everyone else thinks about you and to what society says you can and cannot do. I, spent a lot of my life incarcerated because I wasn't letting anyone tell me what to do, including the law. Why would I let them now? Why would I let someone who doesn't know me tell me that I can't or that I'm not deserving of this or I'm not worth this opportunity? And that's what I try to tell my clients too. Like, who are they to tell you? If they won't, then keep going. If this person doesn't want to rent to you, that's fine. You're going to go rent from someone else and you're going to be the best tenant they ever had. And you're going to, have your place cleaner than they did. You're going to pay your rent earlier than other people pay it because it matters to you. Because you know what rejection feels like. So when you get, accepted and when you get, welcomed, you appreciate it. And that's how you get through the rejection. And what gives me hope is I was out $700 in application fees, told someone that I did not think was an owner all of my business, and I got the place. And same with the job. My last job was at False Tech. I worked for Cardinal Manufacturing. And I am pretty sure I am the first person they ever hired with a background complication for an admin position. And I told them my whole story and I was told I wouldn't hear back from them for like 3 weeks. And they called me the next morning and asked me to come back and talk to them again.
Wow.
And that gave me hope because I was working at a convenience store, cooking food that I don't eat and not making nearly enough to do anything. And then I got this job and, made $50,000 a year.
Wow.
So that gives a lot of hope.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Wow.
Yeah, if you can do it, your clients can too.
Yeah.
Right?
That is my whole slogan. That's the whole pitch. If I can, you can.
Yeah.
Well, is there anything else that
I really would like? I forgot a part about how the community could help. Transportation is huge. There's not buses that go to the area where the warehouses are that hire a lot of people with what they consider major felonies. And there's no public transportation that'll take you there. And for an Uber or a Lyft during those hours, it could be up to $40 sometimes to go 4 miles. And that is a huge barrier. Because if you're not in the Graves Mill side and over on this side where they do the flex ride, because it's not offered in the downtown area or anywhere on that side of town.
Right.
So if you want to go to work there, you have to catch a bus at 5 a.m. or 4 something. And then you have to walk from Whole Foods down about 2 miles, I believe it is, in the dark, in the cold, in the rain, if you want to go to work. So transportation is a huge, huge barrier.
For sure. Yeah.
And if that could be addressed by any church, any organization that has a van or, a bus, and they'd be willing to help transport people to that area, that would open up employment for a lot of people.
Yeah, I'm sure. Because that's, yeah, like you were saying, that's just wild. Like the amount of barriers you have just to show up, and it's like you're already facing all these barriers, and then it's like, well, then it's like physically hard to get to work, let alone get the job, do all the above, everything you've like done to get to that point, which is wild.
There's even a section with no sidewalk on that.
Yeah.
So, and people are just walking it in the dark.
Yeah.
If they want to go to work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And a lot of people don't even think about that. They don't think twice how
No.
hard it is for some folks to get to work like that who want to work. So that's huge.
Was there anything else that like you want to touch on? Or you did an incredible job, like truly an incredible job. But is there anything else like you want to chat about or anything? Cool.
No,
Love
it
it.
was great. Thank y'all for having me.
Yes,
yeah.
of course. No, this was really great. So thank you for sharing your story. Like I said earlier, you being vulnerable really was a beautiful thing. So thank you so much. And we're glad we had you today.
Thanks.
Yes, absolutely.
The Mended Futures podcast is the production of 518 Family Services, formerly Patrick Henry Family Services in Lynchburg, Virginia. Our mission is to build communities of faithful relationships that ensure children are safe and families are restored.
Mended Futures are at the heart of who we are, our stories, our hope, and our vision. They aren't just stories we tell, they're something you can help create. When you give to 518, you're not just making a donation, you're stepping into someone's story. You're helping a family find hope, and you're helping our community heal.
Because of the generosity of people like you, reconciliation is happening in our community each day. Our donors further the mission of seeing every child with a thriving family supported by a faithful community.
We want to see mended futures for families in Lynchburg, Virginia, and the 4 surrounding counties. So we invite you to check out our website, 518.org/givemended. That's FIVE18.org/givemended. Join us in the ministry of reconciliation.